Mr. Guitar.
Yes, ma'am. Well, looks like I got me a front row seat at the show, huh?
So now this is another of Casey's picks that we're going to talk about now. And I'm glad you picked this one. I predicted you would pick this one for whatever.
Okay, very nice. Okay.
And it is, well, you tell us.
Sure. So the final film we picked for this, for Joan's birthday month is Johnny Guitar. It was I can't place exactly when I saw it first as a child, but I just remember bright colors. It's a full color film, 1954, and it's been described as a feminist Western. And my understanding is that when they were writing this film, Joan said, "Write it for Clark Gable, but I'm going to play his role."
Oh,
and if you watch it, all the roles are reversed. It's definitely a very interesting take on however you want to describe it, feminism or whatever.
A man can lie, steal, and even kill. But as long as he hangs on to his pride, he's still a man. All a woman has to do is slip once, and she's a tramp.
If you watch it, all the roles are reversed. It's definitely a very interesting take on however you want to describe it, feminism or whatever. The roles are reversed to a degree where the main villain is Mercedes McCambridge. Joan is the main protagonist, and they duke it out through the whole film. And the men are just kind of wallpaper for the most part.
You'd better stick to your dancing, kid. You'll live longer.
And it's just a fascinating piece of direction by Nicholas Ray, who did Rebel Without a Cause. I mean, he was just an incredible director. Hated the film, apparently, when it was done, partially because of the experience he had on set, and we'll get to that later. But I find it just incredible. I screened this movie in Toronto probably about 2 years ago, and it was an audience pick. I think we showed. I was at the Fox Theater in Toronto. I think we showed Mildred Pierce like 6 months before I came back to do, and the audience picked Johnny Guitar. The theater, I think, did some kind of poll with their usual fans who come in for the movies, and this is what they chose because they'd never seen it on the big screen. And to see that true color process, as they called it back then, it was kind of VistaVision. It's just the colors are so dramatic, the yellows, the reds. It's just incredible to see on the big screen.
I'm not ashamed of how I got what I have. The important thing is I've got it.
We watched it for the first time in several years the other night in preparation for this discussion, and I was really taken aback by how vivid it is, the color, the film. And I believe is it her second color? I think she had come off of Torch Song in 50.
Torch Song was her for absolutely.
Yeah, and then she went into.
Yeah. Then she absolutely that was it. So before that, and she was not in the scene in The Women during none of the characters were in the scene during the fashion show. So I believe this was her second color, and just brilliant colors on screen.
Oh, exactly. I always kind of have to laugh a little toward the end when, she's sort of they're chasing after her, they're trying to capture her and hang her for this supposed bank robbery or complicit nature in a murder or something of that nature.
I held up no stagecoach. I robbed no bank.
And she's dressed in like a bright yellow with the red bandana. And it's like, oh, that's going to be so conspicuous.
Yeah,
but
no
it's
camouflage
so
there.
Too,
absolutely.
Exactly.
I love
in that.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scene? This one was kind of hard for me to choose. I don't know if there's a standout for you.
No, there's no standout directly, but any scene where Joan is up against Mercedes McCambridge, anytime they're together on screen during those scenes, there is not good fire, but bad fire between them.
That's big talk for a little gun. You can't shoot all of us.
Two of you will do.
I'm just going to jump into to my fun fact here. One of
Please
them.
do. I think you
Okay.
might be able to regale us with some facts about their feud, Joan and Mercedes
Absolutely.
McCambridge.
We always talk about the Betty Davis Joan Crawford feud. I never use rabbit ears, but I'll do them. There was a definite actual feud between Mercedes McCambridge and Joan on this film.
Okay.
They did not like each other. Mercedes was going so far as to generate sympathy for her side. Sterling Hayden, I shouldn't say hate, that's a strong word, did not like Joan for whatever reason. And he said something famously like, I would never star again with Joan Crawford for all the money in the world, and I love money. Something to that effect.
I have waited for you, John. What took you so long?
You know, so Joan was driven so to the edge with this feud going on during filming, and they were in Sedona, Arizona to film it. And again, this is where the true color process captured the Sedona mountains. I've been to Sedona one time. It's gorgeous, and they captured the red rocks colors, just incredibly. But this feud was ongoing throughout the entire filming. Nicholas Ray had enough of it. Joan almost quit the film over it, and she'd be in her dressing room, crying, drinking a little bit, of course, and it was just palpable on set that this was happening between them, and it comes through in their characterization in the film. It's obvious that they don't like each other. All the scenes, they're at each other's throats. And Mercedes especially is really vicious in the movie. She wants blood.
I'm going to kill you if I don't kill you first.
She's jealous of Joan's character. Joan's going to make a ton of money because of the train coming through. The dancing kid loves Joan. Then Johnny Guitar shows up, Sterling Hayden. He's a former lover of Joan in the film. And Mercedes has nothing. She's kind of in charge of the town, but the town's moving out to Joan's saloon out in the hills where the train's going to come through. It's just incredible. And fun fact about Mercedes McCambridge, if you didn't know, she is the voice of the demon in The Exorcist.
That's what it was. I knew she had a tie-in to some horror film, and I couldn't.
Exactly, that's it. So when poor Linda Blair becomes the demon, head spinning, vomiting, that's Mercedes McCambridge voice.
Okay, I didn't know that. I knew there was a tie-in, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I think she's more famous for that than being in this classic, feminist Western from 1954.
And going back to the feud, it seems like the Betty Davis feud was almost more generated for publicity, but I don't know that Joan and Betty actually attested to it ever publicly.
Right.
Now, am I correct that Joan and Mercedes actually spoke publicly about this feud? Did they more admit to this one than with
I actually don't know. I'm not sure if they ever talked about it. I know Sterling Hayden definitely spoke about it.
Right.
I would make a bet that Mercedes said something because she never held back, apparently, with her comments.
So I think we probably answered our own second question, but standout co-star for Johnny.
Mm-hmm. There are a number of really great actors in this. Ernest Borgnine, but I would say, okay, so it's tie for me. Okay, so Mercedes, obviously, she's an obvious, but I still love Sterling Hayden. I just like him as an actor. And he plays the Johnny Guitar character just so smoothly and calmly. And he's a hired gun, except funny in this movie, no guns because he's tired of killing. But Sterling Hayden, I grew up with his movies, Dr. Strangelove, Asphalt Jungle, The Killing. He is just an impeccable actor. So he is my choice for my favorite co-star. Close, just a hair ahead of Mercedes McCambridge.
Perfect. Yes, I would have to go with, I've got to go with Mercedes just for the sheer hatred she was able to convey, that different kind of chemistry between
Oh
them.
yeah.
But it was electric on the screen. And the reason I'm going to say Ben Cooper, he was
Oh, Ben
kind of a
Cooper's
small role
fantastic.
there, but
Yes,
he
absolutely.
was really
Yeah.
good. But what makes him stand out for me, and I'll try to be very brief unless you know the story, but some of our listeners might not. Have you heard of the story he told in later years about Joan and his father having dinner together?
I don't. Let's hear it.
Okay, it's a very heartwarming story. It's one of my favorite about Joan. And I can send it to you. There's an interview where he talks about it, but
Oh,
I'll tell
fantastic.
it to the best of my ability. So he says this is about a year after filming of Johnny Guitar. Joan reads in the column somewhere that Ben Cooper's father is in town for whatever reason. So she gets a hold of him and she says, "Why didn't you tell me your father was in town?"
Oh gosh.
And he's thinking, "Well, I didn't know I had to tell you, but okay." So she says, "Would he like to have dinner before he leaves?"
Oh my
And
God. Are
of
you
course,
kidding?
right.
Sure.
So
Sure.
she invites him back to her house. She cooks the dinner. She serves the dinner. And as they're sitting there, he's about ready to leave for the airport soon after this dinner. And Ben Cooper's father just remarks, "Oh, I wish my wife were here. It's her birthday today. She would have
Oh,
loved this, you know."
uh-huh.
And Joan says, "Well, what's your phone number?" So Joan calls her on the spot. They
Oh my
have this
gosh.
delightful
Fantastic.
conversation.
Yep.
They hang up. And if that weren't enough, Ben Cooper's father says, "Oh, I wish I would have reminded her to turn on our tape recorder." They had just bought one of those
Oh,
reel-to-reel
very nice. Yeah, yeah,
tape
yeah.
recorders.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
Joan says, "What's her number again?" Joan calls her back and she says, I think her name was Berna, something like, "Berna, dear, this is Joan again. Turn on the tape recorder. I'll wait."
Oh my gosh.
So she
That's
went through the whole
fantastic.
conversation again. I mean, just
Uh-huh.
classic Joan being her
Absolutely.
wonderful, generous self.
Yes,
And
absolutely. I
he made the
love it.
remark at the end of that story. This is after, the whole post-Mom Dearest thing. He said, "Do you think you could get me to say anything bad about Joan Crawford?" And he says, "Not on your life, not after what she did for my dad and my mom." So just wonderful stories. Any final thoughts on Johnny Guitar before we wrap
Well,
up?
I just think the film stands out on its own, outside of the vivid colors of the film. But it's just, I think that the almost gender swapping roles is just a little bit of a landmark for 1954. The way that the roles were kind of switched out between the men and the women. Tiny fun fact: Peggy Lee sang the essentially exit music. She sang the theme song at the end when Johnny Guitar and Vienna drive off, or no, ride off into the sunset together. I think that was a great touch to just a wonderful film.
Like the one they call Johnny Guitar.